What if everything you've been told about success is the very thing keeping you trapped? What if the house, the status, the approval you chase is not freedom, but the most sophisticated prison ever designed? Diogenes of Sinope lived in a jar. He owned nothing. He answered to no one. And yet, when Alexander the Great, the most powerful man alive, offered him anything he desired, Diogenes told him to step out of his light. This wasn't arrogance. It was immunity. When you need nothing from the world has no power over you. But how many of us would have the courage to reject everything society promises in exchange for that kind of freedom? Could you sleep in a jar if it meant you'd never have to pretend again? This is the question Diogenes forces us to face. And the answer will either liberate you or reveal just how enslaved you really are. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. You're not free. You think you are. You make choices. You work. You buy things. You plan your future. But look closer. How many of those choices are actually yours? You wanted the promotion because it came with respect. You bought the car because it said something about you. You carefully curate what you post online because you need people to see you a certain way. This isn't freedom. This is performance. And the audience never stops watching. Diogenes understood something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Every possession you own owns you back. Every desire you entertain becomes a chain. Every person whose approval you seek becomes your master. Think about it. You can't leave your job because you have a mortgage. You can't speak your mind because you might offend someone important. You can't walk away from toxic relationships because you're afraid of being alone. You're not living your life, you're managing a prison you built yourself. One brick at a time. The ancient cynics had a word for this: self-enslavement. We do it voluntarily. We do it enthusiastically. We call it ambition, success, responsibility. But Diogenes called it what it was: a slow, comfortable death. He looked at the people of Athens, politicians, merchants, philosophers, all scrambling, all performing, all desperately trying to be someone. And he asked the only question that mattered: what if you stopped? What if you stopped wanting more? What if you stopped caring what they think? What if you let go of the image you're so exhausted maintaining? Most people can't even consider these questions without feeling panic. And that panic? That's the prison alarm going off. That's your mind realizing just how trapped you really are. Diogenes didn't own anything because he refused to be owned by anything. He wasn't poor, he was untouchable. There's a difference. Poverty is lack. Freedom is immunity. And here's the part that disturbs people the most. You already know this is true. You feel the weight. You feel the exhaustion of pretending. You feel the suffocation of maintaining a life that doesn't even fit who you are anymore. But you keep doing it. Why? Because stopping would mean admitting you've been wrong. Stopping would mean disappointing people. Stopping would mean facing the terrifying question: if I let go of all this, who am I? Diogenes had an answer, but most people aren't ready to hear it. So what happens when you strip it all away? When you stop chasing, stop performing, stop needing? What's left? Everything. Diogenes practiced something the cynics called autarkia, radical self-sufficiency. Not independence in the modern sense, where you still need money, status, and validation, but just from different sources. No. True self-sufficiency. The kind where you need nothing from anyone. The kind where you become immune. Imagine it. You wake up and there's no performance to maintain. No emails to answer that determine your worth. No image to protect. No possessions to worry about. No one to impress. Just you, stripped down to what's actually real. Terrifying, isn't it? Most people would rather die than face that kind of nakedness. Because without the possessions, without the titles, without the carefully constructed identity, they don't know who they are. The mask has been on so long, they've forgotten there's a face underneath. But Diogenes knew something crucial. The mask is the prison. The identity you've built is the thing that owns you. And the moment you let it go, you become free in a way most people can't even comprehend. Here's the test. What could someone take from you that would destroy you? Your job, your reputation, your relationship, your money? If the answer is anything other than nothing, you're not free. You're a hostage negotiating with your own life. Diogenes owned a bowl. One day, he saw a child drinking water with his hands. He threw the bowl away. Even that was too much. Even that was unnecessary weight. This isn't minimalism as an aesthetic. This isn't decluttering your closet so your Instagram looks better. This is the complete rejection of the idea that you need anything external to be whole. And the result? Invincibility. You can't threaten someone who needs nothing. You can't manipulate someone who wants nothing. You can't control someone who's already let go. Think about the power structures in your life. Your boss has power over you because you need the paycheck. Your partner has power over you because you fear being alone. Society has power over you because you crave acceptance. But what if you needed none of it? What if you were so self-sufficient that you could walk away from anything that doesn't serve your peace? This is what Diogenes offered. Not poverty, but imperviousness. Not isolation, but autonomy. Not emptiness, but the kind of fullness that doesn't depend on anything outside yourself. But here's the catch, and this is where most people turn back. It requires radical honesty. You have to admit what you're really afraid of. You have to confess what you're actually holding on to. You have to face the possibility that the life you've built is just an elaborate defense mechanism against feeling vulnerable. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you understand that your possessions possess you, that your desires dominate you, that your identity imprisons you, the choice becomes clear. Keep pretending or let go. Diogenes let go. And in doing so, he became untouchable. But what about you? What are you still holding on to that's holding you back? What would you have to release to finally be free? And more importantly, are you brave enough to find out? Leave a comment below. Tell me, what's the one thing you're afraid to let go of? Let's talk about it. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because Diogenes didn't just practice self-sufficiency in private. He lived it as a public provocation. He didn't quietly opt out of society. He mocked it, openly, relentlessly, without shame. He urinated in public. He pleasured himself in the marketplace. When people objected, he said, "If only it were as easy to banish hunger by rubbing my belly." He wasn't being crude for shock value. He was making a philosophical point. You're horrified by natural functions, but perfectly comfortable with greed, vanity, and cruelty. Your priorities are insane. This is the part most people misunderstand about Diogenes. They think he was vulgar. He wasn't. He was shameless. And there's a profound difference. Shame is the weapon society uses to control you. Shame is what keeps you in line, keeps you performing, keeps you obedient. You don't speak up because you're ashamed of being judged. You don't walk away because you're ashamed of failure. You don't live authentically because you're ashamed of being different. Diogenes removed shame from the equation. And when you do that, you become ungovernable. Think about how much of your life is dictated by what other people might think. The clothes you wear, the things you say, the opinions you hide, the dreams you abandon. All because somewhere, someone might disapprove. You're not living your life. You're playing a character in everyone else's story. Diogenes refused to play. When Plato defined man as a featherless biped, Diogenes plucked a chicken and threw it into his lecture hall, shouting, "Behold, Plato's man." He wasn't being disrespectful. He was exposing the absurdity of reducing human existence to a definition. He was showing that philosophy without lived truth is just clever wordplay. And here's the uncomfortable question. What are you pretending to be that you're not? What mask are you wearing because you're terrified of being seen as you actually are? Most people spend their entire lives building an acceptable version of themselves. They smooth out the rough edges. They hide the strange parts. They perform normalcy with such dedication that they forget it's a performance. And then they wonder why they feel so empty. Diogenes lived the opposite way. He was aggressively, unapologetically himself. Not because he didn't care about people, but because he refused to betray himself for their comfort. This is the hardest pill to swallow. Being liked and being free are often incompatible. You can have approval or you can have authenticity. Rarely both, and most people choose approval. They choose to be acceptable, digestible, non-threatening. They choose to fit in rather than stand out. They choose comfort over truth. But here's what they don't tell you. The cost of that choice is your life. Not metaphorically, literally. You spend your one existence being someone you're not. For people who don't actually know you, in exchange for a sense of safety that's completely illusory. Diogenes saw through it. He saw that the emperor has no clothes, that society's rules are arbitrary, that respectability is just cowardice dressed up as virtue. And he refused to participate. He lived in a way that said, I will not shrink myself to make you comfortable. I will not perform to earn your approval. I will not betray my nature to fit your expectations. And the result? He became legendary. Not despite his shamelessness, but because of it. Because there's something in us that recognizes truth when we see it, even when it makes us uncomfortable. Especially when it makes us uncomfortable. So here's the real question. What would you do differently if you stopped caring what people thought? Not in a reckless, destructive way, but in an honest, authentic way. What would you say? How would you live? Who would you become? And if the answer is very different from who I am now, then you're not living your life. You're living theirs. Thank you for staying with me this far. I know this isn't easy to hear. I know it challenges everything you've been taught. But that's the point. The best is yet to come. Stay with me. There's a story about Diogenes that cuts to the heart of everything we've been talking about. It's the encounter with Alexander the Great. And if you only know the surface version, you've missed the entire point. Alexander, 20 years old. Already a military genius, conqueror of the known world. Literally the most powerful human being alive. Heard about this strange philosopher who lived in a jar. Curious, he went to visit him. He found Diogenes lying in the sun. Alexander introduced himself, though he needed no introduction, and asked what he could do for him. Anything. Anything at all. Name it, and it's yours. Diogenes looked up at this god among men and said, Yes, stand out of my light. Most people hear this as a humorous anecdote. It's not. It's a philosophical demolition. Alexander represented everything society tells you to want: power, glory, wealth, fame, conquest, the ability to bend the world to your will. He could give Diogenes anything: gold, land, titles, armies, anything. And Diogenes wanted nothing, not because he was rude, not because he was ungrateful, but because Alexander, for all his power, had nothing Diogenes actually needed. The emperor was standing in his light, blocking his sun. And the sun was free. The sun was real. The sun didn't require conquest or maintenance or performance. This is the moment that reveals everything. Who had more power in that exchange? The man who owned the world or the man who needed none of it? Alexander could force Diogenes to obey, but he couldn't make him want anything. And without desire, power has no leverage. You can threaten someone who wants to live. You can bribe someone who wants to succeed. You can manipulate someone who wants to be loved. But you can't touch someone who's let go of all of it. Diogenes was untouchable. Not because he was strong, but because he was free. And here's what makes this story truly devastating. Alexander knew it. He saw it immediately. He reportedly said afterward, If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes. The most powerful man in the world recognized that the man with nothing had something he could never possess: freedom from wanting. Let that sink in. The man who conquered the world envied the man who lived in a jar. This is the inversion that Diogenes spent his entire life demonstrating. What we call power is actually weakness. What we call success is actually slavery. What we call freedom is actually an elaborate cage. You work 50 hours a week to afford a house you barely live in. You maintain relationships that drain you because being alone feels like failure. You chase promotions that bring more stress than satisfaction. You accumulate possessions you don't use. You build an image you can't sustain. And you call this success. But Diogenes asks, who's serving who? Are you using your possessions, or are they using you? Are you living your ambitions, or are they living you? Are you free to walk away from any of this, or are you trapped in a life you've outgrown but can't escape? Alexander could walk away from nothing. He was committed to his empire, to his legacy, to his image. He had to keep conquering, keep proving, keep expanding. One more battle, one more kingdom, one more achievement. He could never stop. The machine he built required constant feeding. Diogenes could walk away from anything. He had no empire to maintain, no legacy to protect, no image to defend. He was complete, exactly as he was. Nothing needed. Nothing owed. This is the ultimate freedom, not having the world, but not needing it. And the uncomfortable truth is, most of us are more like Alexander than Diogenes. We've built empires, smaller ones, yes, but empires nonetheless. And now we're trapped maintaining them. The career we can't leave. The lifestyle we can't afford to lose. The reputation we can't risk damaging. The expectations we can't bear to disappoint. We've conquered our little worlds. And now we're prisoners of our own conquests. But here's what Diogenes understood that Alexander didn't. You can't be free and safe at the same time. You can't be authentic and acceptable at the same time. You can't be true to yourself and true to everyone else's expectations at the same time. You have to choose. And most people choose the cage. Because the cage is comfortable. The cage is familiar. The cage comes with approval and belonging and the illusion of security. But Diogenes chose the sun. Simple, real, free, and untouchable. The question is, what will you choose? So we arrive at the final question. What does this actually mean for you? Right now, today, in a world of infinite consumption, constant comparison, and manufactured needs. Because Diogenes isn't just a historical curiosity, he's a mirror. And what you see when you look into that mirror will tell you everything about the life you're actually living. Let's be brutally honest. You're carrying too much. You know you are. You feel it every morning when you wake up already exhausted. You feel it every time you open your phone and see 100 things demanding your attention. You feel it every time you look at your calendar and realize you have no time for what actually matters. You're drowning in a life you built yourself. And somewhere along the way, you forgot you could just stop. Diogenes lived untouchable, not because he had some superhuman discipline, but because he asked himself one question over and over: do I actually need this? And he was ruthlessly honest with the answer. Do you need a bigger house, or do you need approval? Do you need that promotion, or do you need to feel worthy? Do you need more followers, or do you need to feel seen? Do you need to win the argument, or do you need to be right? Strip away the justifications, and what's left? Usually, it's fear. Fear of being ordinary. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being alone. Fear of being insufficient. And so you keep adding. More achievements. More possessions. More relationships. More distractions. Anything to avoid the silence where that fear lives. But here's the paradox Diogenes discovered. The more you add, the less free you become. every new thing creates a new dependency. Every new goal creates a new anxiety. Every new connection creates a new obligation. You think you're building a life. You're building a prison. So what would an untouchable life actually look like? Not in ancient Greece, here, now, in the world you actually inhabit. It would mean releasing everything that doesn't serve your peace. Not recklessly, not selfishly, but honestly, the job that's killing you, the relationship that's draining you, the image that's exhausting you, the expectations that were never yours to begin with. It would mean becoming so self-sufficient that you don't need anyone's permission to exist. You don't need validation to create. You don't need approval to speak. You don't need success to feel worthy. It would mean cultivating immunity to the forces that break most people. Rejection doesn't destroy you because your worth isn't determined by acceptance. Failure doesn't crush you because your identity isn't tied to outcomes. Loss doesn't devastate you because you're not clinging to what you have. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming free. Free to love without desperation. Free to create without fear. Free to live without performing. But here's the part no one tells you. This kind of freedom is terrifying. Because it means letting go of everything you've been taught to chase. It means disappointing people. It means being misunderstood. It means walking a path almost no one else is willing to walk. Diogenes was called a madman, a cynic, a dog. He was mocked, ridiculed, dismissed, and he didn't care. Not because he was arrogant, but because he knew something they didn't. Their opinions had no power over him. Can you say the same? Can you let go of what people think? Can you release the need to be understood? Can you walk away from everything that's not true, even if it means walking alone? Because that's what being untouchable actually requires. Not a jar, not poverty, but the courage to strip away everything false until only what's real remains. And what's real is this: you are enough, right now, without the achievements, without the possessions, without the approval. You are already whole. You've just been convinced otherwise by a world that profits from your insecurity. Diogenes lived this truth so completely that even the most powerful man on earth couldn't disturb his peace. He had nothing, and in having nothing, he had everything. So here's your choice. You can keep building the prison. Keep adding weight. Keep performing. Keep pretending. And you can be successful by every external measure while slowly dying inside. Or you can let go. Let go of what doesn't matter. Let go of what's not true. Let go of who you're pretending to be. And in that letting go, you might just discover what Diogenes knew all along. The simple life isn't poverty, it's power. It's not deprivation, it's liberation. It's not weakness, it's being untouchable. The question is, are you brave enough to find out? So I want to hear from you. What's one thing you're holding on to that's holding you back? What's one expectation you could release? What's one step you could take toward becoming untouchable? Leave your thoughts in the comments. This isn't just a video, it's a conversation. And your perspective matters. If this resonated with you, subscribe to this channel. Philosophy isn't entertainment. It's a mirror. And sometimes, the reflection is the only thing that can set you free. And if you want to go deeper, the next video is waiting. Let's keep walking.